Coming up on 5 Minute News. Mariupol evacuations continue as Nancy Pelosi meets Ukraine's leader. Shanghai's COVID numbers continue to rise. And Mexico's opposition pitches free residential solar panels. It's Monday, May 2. I'm Anthony Davis. Over 100 civilians from a besieged steel plant in the Ukrainian city of Mariupol were finally evacuated on Sunday as US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi revealed that she visited Ukraine's president to show unflinching American support for the country's defense against Russia's invasion. The Mariupol City Council said on Telegram that the evacuation of civilians from other parts of the city would begin this morning. People fleeing Russian-occupied areas in the past have described their vehicles being fired on, and Ukrainian officials have repeatedly accused Russian forces of shelling evacuation routes on which the two sides had agreed. Late on Sunday, one of the plant's defenders said Russian forces resumed shelling the plant as soon as the evacuation of a group of civilians was completed. Several hundred civilians remain trapped alongside nearly 500 wounded soldiers and numerous dead bodies. As many as 100,000 people may still be in blockaded Mariupol, including up to 1,000 civilians hunkered down with an estimated 2,000 Ukrainian fighters beneath the Soviet-era steel plant, the only part of the city not occupied by the Russians. China's commercial capital of Shanghai was dealt a blow this morning as authorities reported 58 new coronavirus cases outside quarantine areas, while Beijing pressed on with testing millions of its people on a May Day holiday few were celebrating. Tough coronavirus measures in Shanghai have stirred rare public anger, with millions of the city's 25 million people confined indoors for more than a month, some sealed inside fenced-off residential compounds, and many struggling to secure daily necessities. Shanghai's residents breathed a sigh of relief at the weekend on news that no new cases had been confirmed outside quarantine areas for 2 days. But bad news came this morning with the report of the 58 new infections. Authorities did not comment on the new cases at a media briefing, but members of the public weighed in online. They announced that they stamped out cases at the community level too early, one person commented on the Weibo social media platform. But many people also took heart from data that showed an encouraging trend, with 32 new deaths on Sunday compared with 38 a day earlier, and 6,606 new asymptomatic cases from 7,084 the previous day. Coronavirus first emerged in the Chinese city of Wuhan in late 2019, and for the 2 years authorities managed to keep outbreaks largely under control, with lockdowns and travel bans. But the fast-pacing Omicron variant has tested China's zero-COVID policy this year, an important one for President Xi Jinping, who is expected to secure a precedent-breaking third leadership term. China's COVID policy looks increasingly bizarre to much of the outside world, where many governments have eased restrictions or thrown them off altogether in a bid to live with COVID, even though infections are still spreading. Mexico's biggest opposition party on Sunday proposed installing solar panels for free onto residential housing, staking out its renewable energy credentials as it seeks to challenge the ruling party of President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. Marco Cortés, leader of the centre-right National Action Party, said the plan was to have the state power utility and the government put panels for free on all homes, starting with the poorest. People wouldn't pay anything or would pay a lot less for their electricity bill, Cortés said in a video on Twitter, urging the government to adopt the plan. López Obrador, a popular president who has dominated Mexican politics since taking office in December 2018, suffered a reverse in Congress last month when the opposition united to vote down a constitutional overhaul of the power market. The president's plan sought to tighten state control of the market at the expense of private companies. That caused friction with investors in solar and wind power generation, as well as manufacturers with commitments to use more clean energy. The pitch comes ahead of 6 gubernatorial elections in June, and as the opposition starts gearing up for the 2024 elections, when López Obrador's successor will be chosen. Cortés said the solar panels would be paid for by a subsidy and would be free for people in the lowest energy consumption bracket. The first phase of the initiative aimed to reach around 5 million households, he said. López Obrador, a leftist resource nationalist, argues past governments skewed the power market in favor of private capital at the expense of Mexico's state power companies and consumers.
You can subscribe to 5-Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5-Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5-Minute News is an Evergreen Podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.